I feel that it is time for me to come back, and it just feels like all the stars are just aligning with me to come back to dancehall and really kind of save the culture. I know that sounds pretty crazy, right? Like, who the fuck am I? Um, I have 25 years of valid experience in this field. I left it for 10. I don't like the way it is being talked about or guided with the pundits that are in it now. And I'm fucking back. Give me my theme music.
Cool now. I'm them there. I want to know. Original pilot, aka Ross Mulligeta Sewa. A diva. Hot girl, diva, a diva. Some girl are settled up like a diva. No man, no one, them tell them to leave ya. A diva. Run boy, hot girl, diva, a diva. Some girl are settled up like a cleaver. No man, no one.
Pilot, God rest your soul, my brother. You live forever. You're not here now, but you live forever. So I was on Reddit. So as you know, if you guys been following the breadcrumbs, I launched a new website, Shakes is Live. And I'm a firm believer that social media is dead. So fuck social media. And I have to bring the website back in an organic way. The website has to be grown in the dark parts of the web that nobody goes, but where people seek information. Back in the day, it was dancehallreggae.com. It was bobbyshakes.com, where you would come and get your information. And we would have these discussions on the discussion board. Let me pull up the chat here. Probably know it's going to come because usually nobody watches me, but we do this because we love it. So back in the day, a lot of you people, and this is just a Reddit. This stream is strictly for Reddit. A lot of people on Reddit has no idea who I am. I could say I'm the OG of reggae media when it comes to websites. We were not the first, but we are one of the first reggae websites in the world. And it was bobbyshakes.com. You could ask anybody, anywhere, what was Bobby Shakes and his influence in the culture. So I've been writing copy, posting it on Reddit, getting involved in the reggae Reddit community, because that's where I gotta grow my new site. Not growing my new site on Twitch, on fucking Twitter. Not Twitter. What's the TikTok or Instagram? Those are not the places where I feel the culture is. The culture is on Reddit. There's deep conversations and good discussion about the culture. So I've been going down a Reddit rabbit hole, and I've been posting on Reddit. I've been reading on Reddit. I've been part of the Reddit reggae community. And I came across this post. Let me see if I can even find it here on the internet here. It's Shaggy on today's. Okay, it was on his website. Let me see if I can find it here. All right, I found it. Usually when you're running a show, you'd have all this shit pulled up. Here we go. Here we're gonna bring this over here. Make this bigger. And I gotta do? Oh,
right now.
unmute it.
We'd started the year
We're gonna
with a
listen.
bang. I think last year was an amazing year for dancehall because we had drift, which I was happy to be a part of. So I think that dancehall is slowly moving it, but it's a new sound. One thing we got to understand, the old sound of dancehall that we know, the old style of dancehall we know, that was very successful by Marty, did its thing. The highest point in dancehall was that sound. It's over. That sound is no more. I don't think people are going to make records like that anymore. I think there's a new sound of dancehall that you're hearing, that this kind of trap type sound that they're making, and they're going to find a way to make it become successful to where it starts to chart and start to do well. It's a new day. I think the dancehall is in a incredibly great space right now. I think we'd started the year with a bang. I think last year was an amazing year for dancehall because we had drift, which I was happy to be a part of. So I think that dancehall is slowly moving it, but it's a new sound. One thing we got to understand, the old sound of dancehall that we know, the old style of dancehall we know, that was very successful by Marty.
All right, so if you heard it, we're going to let it play in the background so you guys can read the words of what he's saying. And DJ Nori, great friend of mine. It's crazy. They even feel comfortable to say dancehall trap. That's Nori. I know Nori personally. Pelpa, I know him personally. Nah, Shaggy, how much they pay you to say this? Fresh West, I know him personally. So sad to hear, but this is true. It's so funny, right? This is what I mean by the stars are aligning. So let's, enough nonsense talk. Let's get right into this. You got to understand who Shaggy is. Shaggy's an icon. Shaggy is an icon. I may get killed for this, but probably one of the most successful reggae artists ever. A lot of people will say Bob Marley, but the reason why we love Bob Marley is because of his future was cut short. His potential was cut short. We don't know what Bob Marley would have been today. We have no clue. We just knew that his life was cut short and his potentials were so great at his death that we just assumed that that potential would have just kept on growing, right? It's the same with Biggie, right? 2 albums later, he's the greatest rapper ever. His potential at the time of his death was so big that he was unable to manifest his future, just like Bob Marley. Unlike Bob Marley, Shaggy was able to manifest his future into 10 million records sold. Guy went diamond, right? You cannot dispute Shaggy's relevance and success in the genre. And I'm not going to let anybody disrespect that. I can't. But we also got to understand who Shaggy is, right? We got to understand where Shaggy's from. Shaggy was never really part of the dancehall culture because Shaggy's bigger than the dancehall culture, right? That's why in Jamaica we have this feud, reggae, dancehall. Now it's called trap hall, right? Because the powers that be want to hold that infrastructure. We want to hold reggae high. We don't want to mix it with dancehall. And now we have trap hall, which is even lower than dancehall. Okay? Let's say that again. The powers that be want to keep reggae on a pedestal. We want to squeeze dancehall. And now we have trap hall, which is now, I think it's down here, but now it's going above dancehall. Shaggy was never part of the dancehall culture. But that doesn't mean he wasn't relevant in the genre. It's kind of like when you say who's the biggest reggae sound in Jamaica? A lot of you and I was running reggae would say, it's got to be Renaissance. Because when you went to your vacation spots in the grill, Montego Bay, I should probably say Galtego Bay, but Montego Bay, excuse me, sis, I'm coming back in, right? I got to figure out the lingo. I got to work on my patois. When you're at those places, Ocherius, when you're in those great, huge, beautiful places, Renaissance was playing. When I was covering dancehall, I was always in the ghetto. So it's people like Sky Juice, Squingy. To me, Squingy is the biggest selector in all of reggae music. Some would say Stone Love, right? Stone Love was a part of the culture. Renaissance was bigger and probably had more success. But Stone Love molded the culture. It's not to disrespect Stone Love. It's not to disrespect Renaissance. But in the streets, when you were in the streets, it was bass sadissi. That was the sound that was beating in your car. Then Stone Love. I never heard Renaissance in Boston or New York beaten out of a Maxima or a Cressida. I never heard it. I never heard Shaggy being beaten out of a Cressida or a Maxima. I never heard it. Or a Camry, because that's what the culture was driving at that time. But during that time, Oh Carolina was a major hit. It's a major hit. And then he followed that major hit with another major hit. It wasn't me. But Shaggy was never in the culture. I've been to plenty of sound clashes. World clash, this clash, that clash, this clash. And I heard Shaggy dubs, but the Shaggy dubs weren't the sound killers. It was the Bounty, the Sizzler, Garnet Silk, John Holt, Tenor Saw, Buju, Shaba, Bounty, Beanie, Merciless. Those songs were the staple of the culture. The staple of the culture. So now let me get to my point when we talk about Shaggy saying that dancehall's in a good place. I personally don't think dancehall's in a good place. That's why I'm back in dancehall. And let me tell you why. Let me give you my reason why. Unlike everybody else in dancehall, I have a very unique perspective of what the culture is because I'm a photographer and a videographer. I've been recording dancehall since 1998. I have all the tapes, all the hard drives, all the CDs, all the DVDs to back this claim up. When you're at home, when I was at home in my mom's basement, when we first started the website, and I'm sitting down in my mom's basement, lights down, everything is turned off, headphones on, and I'm sitting in front of my Mac to edit the video. And I'm watching the crowd, the artists, the culture. I'm no longer caught up in the hype of the show. I've recorded thousands of reggae shows. They're all a blur to me. They're all a blur. When you're in the moment on stage, you're just trying to capture the moment. You don't have time to get starstruck or awestruck with the artist. I'm there to do a job. I'm there to capture the crowd, artist, crowd, artist, crowd, artist, crowd, artist. When I go home, after the dust is settled, and I'm editing that video, that's when I'm really injected into what's going on. I've recently done Valiant Maldown, or I don't know his name. I'm sorry. I'm new. I'm coming back. And I just did TJ at the House of Blues in Boston. The crowd numbers for those shows were really low. I think TJ at the House of Blues was 1,200. I think I heard that his show before that, somewhere in upstate New York, was only 600. So I think the problem that we're having now in 2024, I think we're confused with hype versus reality. Drift is probably the biggest song in the last 25 years to come out of the genre. Some may disagree, some may agree, but the Matrix shows that. When you go on the TikTok, when you go on Instagram, when you go on Facebook, when you look at his views on all of these platforms, you see mega numbers. Mega numbers. You see old white women trying to do the drift with their daughter on TikTok. So clearly the song has reached a bigger demographic. You also got to understand too, when BobbyShakes.com was at its height, we were doing 1 million hits a day. 1 million hits a day. 1 million hits a day in an era where nobody had a computer. And a lot of those were just recurring people coming back to the site, 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 coming back to the site. You only had 9 to 5 to view BobbyShakes.com because you viewed BobbyShakes.com at your job. Very few people in the hood had computers back then to go home and then log on to BobbyShakes.com. This is pre-fucking cell phones, right? You didn't have a fucking cell phone. You didn't have a fucking cell phone. Everything was the videotapes that came in for you to watch, right? The DVDs, the VHS tapes, that is how the culture was spread. Through VHS tapes, through the sound cassettes, and all of that. So it took a long time for things to go viral. But when it went viral, it was sustainable. When you talk about a song like Shining Chris, which ran dancehall for a year, Shaba, there was no way in fucking hell you could put him in a venue and only 1,000 people show up. I'm just telling you that. The height of Vegas's career, where I will say this because I have the video to prove it. When Vegas busts Sean Paul at 3C's in Boston, I have the video for that. And Sean Paul standing on stage like, thank you, Kimmy. Yeah, man, we're just talking facts right now, man. When Sean Paul busts Vegas. No, what am I talking about? When Vegas busts Sean Paul. Three C's was jam packed. Shaggy has never been a part of the culture. Shaggy's always been an outsider inside the culture. So now that he sees dancehall and he sees that these new reggae artists are being torn from the fabric of the streets. And now they're more hip hop artists than dancehall artists. That's his position. But there's nobody in their right mind that's been in this culture for 25 years would say that the state of dancehall is in good hands. The hype is bigger than it's ever been. Billions and billions and billions of streams. And I'm not even gonna get into stream farms and all of that shit. I'm just gonna take dancehall right now at its fucking face value. The streams, the downloads are just crazy. So I'm gonna give it to you. That's why when I say Drift is the biggest song the last 25 years, I can say that because the Matrix proves it. Proves it. The data is there. Now, if you want to go and debunk the data, that's something that y'all could do in your own time. Is it some dude in China with 100,000 cell phones downloading the song and playing the song repeatedly on YouTube for him to get those numbers? I don't know. And I would never say that. But from face value, the culture looks bigger because the hype is bigger. But the culture does not have sustainability. I've done Valiant, low numbers. Molly Dunn, I think that's his name, low numbers. TJ at the House of Blues just last week, low numbers. Now, in defense of these new artists, they don't have that many songs. You got to understand when Bounty and Beanie and all these people came on tour to your city, they had a fucking catalog so they could do an hour show. Right? You had a band. It wasn't karaoke. It wasn't a fucking DJ. The first 15 years of my career in dancehall, there was a band on the stage. A band. There's no more bands. There's no more bands. The last time I saw Shaggy in person, I was filming Sting in Jamaica. Why is Sting such an epic stage show? It's not because of the fuckery that comes with Sting. It's the band change in a hostile environment. Every reggae artist got its own band, and you got to break down these bands, get the band, break down a band, put a new band on stage. And reggae is not like just a drummer and a fucking bassist. Keys, horns, backup singers, and there's no mic check. There's no mic check. There's no pause in the action. It's Bounty Killer. It's Vegas Come On fucks up Sting. Band change. Now it's Beanie. Beanie's off stage. Now it's Luciano. What are we talking about here when we talk about the state of dancehall is great when the state of dancehall right now is fucking karaoke? Shaggy, what the fuck are you talking about? With all due respect, what are you talking about? It's karaoke. It's a guy in a microphone with a dancer and a DJ. Where is the artistry in the culture? So I just want to ask everyone because I was reading on Reddit. It was Mr. and Remington. They were in a heated battle, going back and forth. They were in a fucking heated. It was crazy. They were going at it, and Remington had some good points. He said in Canada, he never heard of Shaggy in the culture. He said that wasn't me, and Old Carolina was more for the white college kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. But Shaggy, in my humble opinion, cannot make a comment on the culture. Shaggy, if you guys don't know who Shaggy is, Shaggy's like Drake, Dancehall's like Ines. Battle rap, commercial rap are not even the same stratosphere. People that listen to battle rap would never give Drake any respect, Meek Mills any respect, Kanye West any respect. Because the culture starts in the ghettos. The culture doesn't start downtown. The cultures start in the slums. And my famous quote, which y'all know, we don't do it for the culture because we are the culture. We're the culture. They're telling y'all our stories in their music. The artist is living vicariously through us in the streets. Because a lot of these rappers and dancehall guys, they're rich at 18, 19 years old. They're making a good living. Yeah, they struggled from fucking 0 to 12, and then they're in the studio, and now they're finding success. By 2024, they're fucking flying, just like me. My life struggled between 0 and 18. After I got out of college, I joined the music business, and I'm fucking flying. I don't have a struggle story. None of these rappers and dancehall artists have a struggle story. 18, 19, 20, you're in the studio, you're getting a little money. You're not rich, but you're making a living. You're not like I wasn't like the average kid in Boston at 20, 19 years old. I'm fucking flying. I'm all over the place. Shaggy's music did not live vicariously through the ghetto. And it's not his fault. Because that's not who he is. It's not who he is. And a lot of y'all gotta understand that. This trap hall thing now is taking a hip hop movement is going to hip hop ways, and I get it. There was a lot of bullshit with dancehall. And in closing, Shaggy here talks about the sound of dancehall. Like nobody's making music like that anymore. There's a lot of problems with fucking dancehall. The Batiman thing is a problem in dancehall. The culture has been exiled out of America. Oh, that music is homophobic. They want to kill gay people. So the message is stifled. Visas are taken away. Dancehall's legs was cut short, not because the music wasn't good or the sound wasn't good. Dancehall was cut short because of the artist's fuckery. When we talk about Firelinks, who stole money from my boy, supposed to come to 3Cs and perform, he never showed up. How many times did Firelinks did that throughout the world? How many times did people send money to Jamaica to book an artist and Jamaican artist never showed up? So these Japanese and Germans are like, man, fuck these Jamaicans. We're going to have a homegrown reggae. Germany has its own homegrown reggae. Japan has its own homegrown reggae. California has its own homegrown reggae. Because while your visa's pulled and you can't come to America, who's going to fill that reggae void? It's just opportunity. When we talk about Ninja in jail, when we talk about Buju in jail, that was a huge void in dancehall. When we talk about the killing of Bogle, when we talk about the bullshit with John Hype, when we talk about Ninja Man in and out of jail, when we talk about Shabba, like, yo, listen, man, I'm not fucking with y'all. And then we finally found our diamond in the rough with Alliance. And then what happens to Alliance? They shattered into pieces. I was there for this. I was there. And then out of the shattering of Alliance, we now have Cartel. And Cartel was on the brink. Let me tell you something right now. Cartel was on the fucking brink of taking over the fucking world. Spice's career right now is a put down and pick up from Cartel. Cartel had a reality TV show. He had his own rum. I don't, and I'm gonna say it, I can honestly say this. I went to the South Shore Plaza in Boston, in Braintree, and I knew the owner. And I've been wearing Clarks since I'm English. I mean, my first pair of shoes was Clarks because they make baby shoes. And I went in to get some desert boots, and the manager was like, "Yo, Shakes," because he knew I'm Jamaican, he knows I'm in the scene. He's like, "Yo, what's good? Why are all these Clarks missing?" I said, "For fucking Cartel's got the biggest song in the world when you talk about Clarks." Clarks couldn't keep shoes in their stores. So when we talk about culture and influence, Shaggy doesn't have that attached to his name. He has global commercial success. He also doesn't have, from what I know, any criminal dust-ups. But his music didn't move the culture like Cartel's music did. And when Cartel was at that peak, he then goes to jail. I would stand on this because I was fucking there. Bounty Killer. I know I'm going to get killed for this. I'm going to get killed for this. I stand on this. And I've been saying this for 20 years. And everybody that used to fight me, that it's Beanie, Bounty Killer is the greatest reggae act to come out of Jamaica. You got to understand, Bob Marley had a lot of beef with Peter Tosh and other people in that genre at that time. Bounty Killer moved the culture, something Shaggy has never done. How many children does Bounty have? Busy Signal, Cartel, Movado. I'm going to say something else. And if Sizzla see this, he may have a problem with me because I'll be shooting Sizzla. He's coming very soon. He's coming this summer to Boston. Sizzla's greatest album came from his war with Bounty. I was in Jamaica at the time when Bounty said, "Why don't you go back into the hills and write some real music talking about pumping up her pum pum?" I was there. I was in Kingston when Bounty said that shit on stage. He moved Sizzla to give us a real album. I'm not just talking bullshit. fucking lived this era. Me and dancehallreggae.com. We have the media to back up what I said. All these other people, I don't give a fuck how long you've been in the music industry, in the reggae industry. I don't give a fuck. That doesn't mean shit to me. If you don't have the media and you've never sat down and watched 25 years of history by yourself in a dark room and make an unbiased decision on what the fuck's in front of you, you can't say shit about this genre. I have. All over this world. Jamaica, Europe, America, Canada, Miami, New York. I've been all over this motherfucker. And I've seen it. The culture in dancehall is dead. And it's not because of the sound. It's not because of the music that Shaggy's saying. It's because of the artists were misbehaving. Are you trying to tell me if Cartel didn't go to jail, and if Butcher didn't go to jail, and Ninja was still running around in Jamaica, you think Valiant, TJ, and Spice, and Lady Saw turned Christian? Love you, Marion. Love you, love you, love you, love you, love you. I could call her Marion. I know her personally. You think you would have Shensia and Spice if Lady Saw was running the ground right now? So when we talk about dancehall, it's not the fact that the sound and the culture is dead. It's because the people that was in charge of the culture killed it. And I'm responsible for it too. Because I fade off. I disappeared into the sunset. You have to be very, 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 you have to be very careful when you're talking about this fucking culture. Very careful when you're talking about this culture. There's a huge hole right now in dancehall. And it's for the TJs and the Valiants and the Intents and all of these young artists to come in. And I'm going to leave you with this. And if you bump into TJ, you can ask him. I was backstage at a show, and me and one of the promoters were talking about the turnout. And we were saying there's no fucking way this turnout is the way it is. There should have been fucking 3,000 people in the venue. And I get it. The House of Blues in Boston is the biggest house of blues in the country, probably in the world. And we're sitting down, and then you come up to me. It's like, yo, let me get your press pass. I'm like, nah, you can't get my press pass. And my boy Blacks tore off my press pass and gave it to him. And as the youth walk away, say, yo, that's TJ's manager. And that was my time to strike. When TJ's manager came back with some fans for the meet and greet, he gave me back my pass, and I grabbed his hand. And I said, yo, man. I said, I love what you're doing. Don't fuck this up. Do not be like Bounty. Do not be like Beanie. Do not be like Sizzler. Don't fuck this up. And he agreed with me. And then he went on stage. And then later, TJ came off stage, and I grabbed TJ. I said, yo, TJ, man, I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm probably the only person that you'll ever speak to. I don't give a fuck if you're in New York, Jamaica, Germany, Japan, England. When I say Do not be another Bounty or Beanie. Stay focused. Stay out of fucking jail. Stay out of drama. Stay out of clashes. Stay out of all of that. Because the problem is the bagaman that artist is hanging with doesn't take any check. And that artist is feeding them. So if you disrespect their money, they might come and shoot you. That's just what it is. So you, by all means, you want to make sure, even if you're going to war with another artist, you got to talk to both camps, have to sit down like, yo, man, let's do a little gimmick thing. We cannot have any more violent encounters between our musicians and tag-alongs. That's what I said to TJ. So, bro, stay focused, get the bag. Now, is the future bright in dancehall? Absolutely. Because these kids are approaching the business differently. Long goes the days of David Kelly writing everybody's shit and paying you a couple of bucks to go on the rhythm, and then we're not talking about publishing. Now these guys are now with ASCAP, BMI, they're understanding the business. So yes, the education of the music has gotten better. What if Sprague Benz has signed everybody to, what if Sprague Benz had started Red Square record label and signed everybody? What if Bounty had a record label and signed Movado, owned the early masters of Movado, owned the early masters of Cartel, owned the early of the Alliance? And then allowed those, and then if those artists were to open up record labels, that's the problem with the culture. And that's why the culture kind of fizzled out. It wasn't good business strategies and practices. Plus, it was too violent. Plus, the Batiman thing. It was too much. It's fucking too much. It's too much. Fucking too much. It's too much going on. It's fucking too much going on. But you got to understand how hip hop is structured. So you sign Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre then finds Snoop Dogg, right? Then Dr. Dre then finds Eminem. Then Eminem then goes and finds 50 Cent. So the money that 50 Cent makes goes to Eminem, but because Eminem is under Dr. Dre, piece of that money goes up to Dr. Dre, and then piece of that money goes to Interscope. So the money's flowing up. Everybody has their own money, and everybody has the opportunity to flourish and be successful. Bounty Killer right now should be eating off Tommy Lee. Yeah, Cartel is locked up, but anybody from Gaza, that money should be going back up to Bounty. So there's a lot of reason why the culture stalled and fell off. It's not because nobody wants to do that sound anymore, like Shaggy's saying. There was a lot of things going on that fucked up the culture. A lot of things. And I know I went for 43 minutes, but just read some of the comments here. That's crazy you say that. Meanwhile, in South America and Europe, still making records with the old style dancehall. That's real. That's fucking real. You think you have a tour right now. When we talk about the state of dancehall, when you go dancehall Trap Hall. Bounty, Baby Sham go on tour to Europe and Africa, and you put it up against TJ. Who do you think is going to sell more shows out? It's going to sell more shows out. There is room for old dancehall if the old dancehall artists can get their shit together. Intense, Valiant, TJ. Capleton doesn't fear those men. Sizzler doesn't fear those men. Doesn't fear them. Beanie doesn't fear them. Bounty doesn't fear them. Elephant Man doesn't fear them. Harry Toddler, if Merciless was alive. Shabba doesn't fear them. These are artists with culture, catalog. The reason why dancehall culture is dead is for the violence, the gay thing, and the bad business practices. Don't let anybody fucking fool you.
I want to know. Original pilot, aka Rasmully get a sewa. Adiva! Hot girl, diva, a diva. Some girl are skittle tough like a cleaver. No man, no one, them tell